Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, to educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society.
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you preparing? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of your communities and governments. See something, say something.
The church, you are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, when you know better, then you do better. Ambazonians, watch ethics for an emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 10 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned.
All right. Greetings and welcome to our ethics program today. I believe that we are getting ready and very soon we will take off. May I request that, well, okay, I think we are all in. That is powerful. I was just about to say that my voice is coming out. I cannot see myself. Thank you very much for coming, gentlemen. I would like you to, with no further protocol, to just go ahead and say hello to the people of Amazonia who are ready and waiting to hearing from you this evening. Over to you, Dr. Tom.
Yes, good evening, Pastor. Good evening, fellow Amazonians, especially to all our fellow Amazonians on the home front, bearing the brunt of the invasion of the Republic of our beloved Southern Cameroon's motherland. I greet you all. We stand behind you, be firm, support you in whatever way we can to kick out the enemy from our territory. I'm Tom Dula, Vice Chair of Ethics Commission, come from Babisi LGA, Gokitunja County. Okay.
Oh boy. All right. Sorry for that. Sorry for that input there. Okay. Let's go ahead. Comrade Tanshi, go ahead. Greet the people of Amazonia before we cross over to our guest.
Okay, greetings to, are you hearing me? Just testing my voice.
5 on 5, we are getting
We hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Greetings to our comrades who are watching us on TV, those who are watching us on YouTube, those who are watching us on Facebook. Welcome to our program. I'm Peter Tanki. I come from Birmingham, LGA in the Midlands. You are highly welcome to this program, which today is we will be talking about.
Go ahead, the 19th, yeah.
Yeah, today the 19th of August. So see you in a minute during the program.
Thank you very much and welcome. Yeah, we want our guest in the house to greet the house. Then I will go ahead and we will pick up from there.
Thank you, Pastor Commando. Thank you, Dr. Tom Dula. Thank you, Comrade Peter Tansit. Fellow Amazonians, my name is Frank Chenyi. I'm the Secretary of State for Self-Defense under the interim government under this Federal Republic of Amazonia. I am happy to be here today to talk about ethics of an emerging nation. We know the role self-defense plays in this revolution, and we know the importance of ethics in whatever we do. We know our enemy, La République de Cameroon, does not recognize ethics in any form. So we will be discussing what makes us different, what makes us outstanding, and what are some of those things that they, La République, the oppressor, are doing that does not meet the standards of those conventions that they have signed. They are parties to these conventions, yet they violate the convention. But those of us that are defending ourselves, what can we do better so that the world should understand that Amazonia will never be a kangaroo nation? So I'm happy to be here. I will be welcoming your questions, and fellow televiewers, hang in there and enjoy this ride with us. Know what it's going to be about Ambazonia. Because those of you sitting on the fence, you are missing a lot. Those of you that are thinking that we are confused, let me clear your doubts. And by the end of this program, you should understand that the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is a nation in the making. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that elaborate welcome. I see that you are loaded and you are ready to tell us how DSS is handling and is going to handle this ethical issue in our developing nation. Thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Ethics for an Emerging Nation, and today we are dealing with ethics for the DSS for a developing or an emerging nation. Okay, whatever name we put it, whether developing or emerging. Now, before we go, first of all, want to thank all of you for coming, and I have this monologue to make before we continue. Ambazonian liberation movement is very unique compared to other revolutions in the world because of the institution of ethics during this time of war. It has never happened in any nation. Our fathers had the foresight of the uphill battle which we face now to repair the destroyed moral fabric of Ambazonia. What holds a nation together is its moral values. La Republic's invasion and occupation of Ambazonia has taken a moral toll on Ambazonians, making moralizing Ambazonia again a battle that we must fight. And that is why we have instituted ethics during this time of war. The assault on our morality began when La Republique took out civics from our schools and from our curriculums. The importance of ethics is in a nation cannot be overemphasized. This is the right time for ethics awareness and campaigns in all tiers of government and in all the communities in the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. It was a man called Edmund Burke who said, "Liberty does not exist in the absence of morality." Ethics for an Emerging Nation is an educational program to help you with the information and tools you need to moralize your communities. Oh, yeah. All right, with that, we have discussed already topics like template forms for complaints. Ambazonia has already started dealing with that. If you have a complaint, don't go on the social media and fight. The Ethics Commission is already seated and is ready to receive you and then talk with you. Now we have treated topics like template forms for complaints, conflict resolutions, appeals and financial conflict of interest disclosure forms. All these are available at the office of the Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia as they are evolving. Ethical leadership and its importance has been discussed. Guidelines for receiving and giving gifts by government employees, misuse of positions, the role of the people in upholding ethical standards in the nation, the role of the church in moralizing the society, the standard code of conduct for Ambazonians. All these are things that have been treated in this particular session of ethics on ABC. We've also discussed business ethics, media ethics, sports and cultural ethics, medical and public health ethics. Now, Ambazonians have gone through all the 13 counties, each one of them giving an update on how they are going to carry out these ethical issues in their different spheres and different departments. So we have now started with the departments of the government, and we have done Women's Service Department, we have done DHA department, and today we are on DSS department. And all these and other departments will be coming up as God gives us the grace and as the time goes on. At this juncture, I would like to let the Ambazonian people know that our programs are all found on Facebook on ethics and YouTube on ethics. So you can go there and learn more. Remember, we are just educating ourselves on what to do. Now, the podium will be given over to Dr. Ndula, then Comrade Tangshi, and then we will now go over to our guest to make him tell us how things will be moving in his department. Dr. Ndula, you have the parole, the word. Over to you. Your microphone is muted, sir.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Okay.
Thank
Go
you
ahead.
very much, Pastor. Welcome everyone here on board, especially our able SOS for Department of Self-Defense, Comrade Frank, somebody I know well and respect. He has been my former county chair of Ngoketunja. You see where Ngoketunja is today. Thanks largely to him. So today we are talking about ethics in the Department of Self-Defense concerning our brave fighters and our people back home. They have been doing a wonderful job up till now, repelling the enemy with the little that they have, the little we can give them, and more is still to come. And dealing with enablers and now coup plotters. So in this day and age, with all those coup plotters and enablers, ethics is of very, very utmost importance in our struggle today, in our independence struggle. So to talk about ethics or the lack thereof in our restoration forces, we just have to look at the La Republique killers who are on our soil, killing our people on a daily basis. They lack the basic in ethics. The society is corrupt, and there is a big lack of ethical conduct. That is what is actually happening also with their killers they call soldiers, whom they sent into our territory. Instead of negotiating for our a peaceful separation of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia from La République du Cameroon, so we see them committing atrocities on the battlefield, killing innocent toddlers on their mothers' backs with the mothers, raping women and girls, and committing all sorts of atrocities. For them, I don't even know whether the Geneva Convention, they know anything about that it exists. That should not be the case with our brave fighters back home. We know there are some few enablers fighting alongside the enemy and thinking they are fighting for Ambazonia. So we are here to clear out all those doubts and then help the Department of Self-Defense issue all those guidelines from the ethics department. So I think there was some recapping of what we had last time. I was not there. I think that can be talked about by somebody else. Thank you.
Our televiewers, welcome to those on Facebook, welcome to those on YouTube. Yeah, we are talking about DSS, Department of Self-Defense. So just in a nutshell, what is it about? Department of Self-Defense and Security. We are defending ourselves against the enemy, La République du Cameroon, that waged the war on us a while ago. So this department is really defending us during this period. It's providing self-defense for us during this period, during this wartime. And when SOS Frank comes up, he might really also elaborate more what this department is supposed to do when we finally get Boya. We'll make all the difference from La République du Cameroon army, which is not there. They don't know anything existing, killing, burning houses, burning farms. These are things that during war you are not supposed to. You're supposed to leave the civilian, those not concerned in it, the civilians alone. You're supposed to protect them, but that is just what La Republique does: burns houses, burns farms, burns babies. Shoot baby, maybe you can think of baby matter. Shoot baby matter. That's when we get to Boya, we will not be keeping this type of we will go into a defense department, and this definitely we will be doing much better than this. SOS Frank might enlighten us on this type of gift. So normally, again, we are on ethics. The DSS would also obey, would also keep the other ethics things that we've been doing in the other department. That is, they would declare their gifts. They would uh, conduct themselves like any other civilian. Conduct themselves with the other binding ethical rules that bind other civilians. But more to that, I think they do a lot of other stuff that maybe SOS Frank would add to that, and I think I would also add to that in during our second session. Coming to what we discussed last week, I think that one I didn't follow the program completely, and I think we would discuss that later on in the program. So I think I'll pass over the introductory part to SOS Frank.
All right. Okay. SOS Frank, please.
Thank you. We will keep apologizing. We are fighting and working at the same time. So that's why sometimes you see us having a little bit of divided attention, not because we do not recognize the importance of this, is because we do a lot of this while on duty. I will continue to thank the Department of Ethics. Those are some of the things that make a difference in the caliber of a nation that we will be. There are two types of parents. Let me put it this way. There are parents that prepare to receive their unborn child. They know they have already conceived. So they know what the baby needs. They prepare in advance. Sometimes they even know the sex of the baby, so they know the choice of clothes they are looking for. Now, there's another class of parents who do not care. All they can do is get a woman pregnant, and they will never talk about the baby, prepare for the baby, or even inquire to find out what will be the outcome of that pregnancy. Amazonians, I really want to crave your indulgence to understand that what we are doing here is preparing ourselves for an emerging nation. People should understand that a good plan is half the work done. When we do it well, at the time of implementation, it will be just moving the blocks to where they fit squarely and closing that gap. Ethics of an emerging nation. I've been following this program from inception, and I really want to thank the department for putting together a program like this. It gives room for our people to understand what are those ethical values that are expected of the community. And when we talk of the community, we refer to everybody, the civil society and our fighting class. Now, today I'll be talking so much about our ARFs. By the way, 21 gun salute for their braveness, for their courage, and for their success. We all should understand that this, our ARFs, have forgone everything. They have abandoned everything. And all they are fighting for is a free Amazonia. Well, we are here to talk about ethics because even in the fight, there are some ethics. 1 second. Sorry, I had to mute my word. Even in the fight, there are ethics. There are some fighting stands that you cannot take, regardless of whether you are defending yourself or you are going on an offensive. I pray most of our restoration forces, if not all, should listen and follow this. It is important for us to understand that even in defending, you have what you can do and you have what you cannot do. Where your rights end are basically where another human being's rights begin. So we got to be very careful with our role of engagement. But unfortunately, La Republique has never respected this. I will tell you, they have all the ethical violations that you can name. I know Dr. Tom did mention quite a few of them. You know, indiscriminate killing, sexual harassment, burning and looting, you know, attacking protected persons and properties. I will explain that. As a nation, what happens at the United Nations is when you are recognized and admitted into the United Nations, they automatically understand that you have validated all the standards that make up the Geneva Convention. During your admission process, those are the paperwork that are placed in front of you as a nation. Going forward, you have to ratify all these treaties. And La République, January 1960, did ratify all those treaties. So violating those treaties now is a call for concern. But then, what does the Department of Self-Defense of the Federal Republic of Amazonia do? As Southern Cameroonians, by right, having the opportunity to have a Department of Self-Defense, why did I ask that question? Because a handful of our confused social media warriors, or how do I put them? All they say is the idea of a government was wrong. All they say is, oh, the government is not supposed to have departments. But let me tell you, Ambazonians, take note of this. According to the United Nations Charter, war is prohibited. I repeat myself. According to the United Nations Charter, war is prohibited. Now, there are two exceptions to that prohibition. The first exception is if the war is authorized by the United Nations Security Council, then war can be declared. And the second exemption is if the war is in response to self-defense, then Article 51 protects you because you have a right to self-defense. That answers the question to those who are confused to say, we do not need a Department of Self-Defense. So we do, because when La République declared war on us, we needed to fight in self-defense. And fighting in self-defense, we can put ourselves together and defend ourselves as a collective unit. That is where the ARFs, they come in. So, per the United Nations Charter, we have a right to fight because we are defending our territory. Now, even though we defend our territory, there are red lines that we cannot cross. We will be discussing those in the midst of the questions that will be coming up. But I want us to understand that La République that declared war on us has been the same elements of destruction that are not willing to even respect the conventions that they have ratified. The hand of the law is too long, so sometimes it may take 20, 30 years to catch up with them. But I guarantee you, some of them in their diaper will be facing a lot of criminal charges for everything they are doing inside Amazonia. Now, to you, Ambazonian Restoration Forces, are you going to join La République in their dirty game? We say no. That is why we will fight according to a code of conduct. The code of conduct for the Department of Self-Defense is your guiding principle. We shall respect and follow the code because we are defending ourselves. In the midst of the questions, I will elaborate on that. So thank you, and I will welcome any questions as we get along. Thanks.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much, SOS Frank. As Pastor Commando is a bit away, I will try to step in. So thanks very much. That's very, very elaborate of you. I mean, there are no better words to say about those who are not only fighting for our independence, like us in the diaspora, going to demos, bringing money together to help our refugees and those in the dungeons that they call prisons in La Republique. But they are putting their own very lives on the line. And you could call some of them today, you call the next day, they tell you that person is no more. That's the ultimate price they are paying for our independence. And we don't take that lightly. So, but despite all that, we want to see that things go on according to ethical codes of conduct, which are, I mean, approximately almost the same the world over to all those who are registered, who are independent nation. So we already declared our independence that was stolen from us on 1st October 1961. That was declared by our former president on 1st October 2018. And today we are defending that independence. So it is good that in every department there be an ethics commission so that when some problems arise, those problems be solved in-house so that, like, as they proverbially say, dirty linen should be washed in the house and not in the public. And for that, a department needs an ethics commission. So my first question to you, SOS Frank, does your department has an ethics commission, or is one in the making?
Sorry, was muted. Thank you, Dr. Tom. Well, a we have an ethics department in the making. Um, right now, our ethics department is functioning under the ANSC as the strategic committee, and as the department is evolving, our chief of staff is already working to upgrade the code of conduct that is meant for our ARFs on the ground. And once that upgrade is done, then we will have a committee that will, from time to time, work with that code of conduct to make sure there is compliance and to make sure aspects of violations that are reported to the department are brought before this committee for hearing, so that we have the checks and balances in the field, especially with our restoration forces. So we are working on that, and hopefully, I would say before the end of this year, the Department of Self-Defense Committee of Ethics should be up and running.
Thank you for that question. You remember, SOS Frank, in Gokutunja, we used to have the War Council, which comprised of elders and civilians, even from each of the 13 villages that make up Gokutunja County. So that should be like some blueprint for the rest of Ambazonia. I'll leave the next question to Comrade Tansi, please.
Okay, okay, welcome, SOS. Wow, I'm so impressed with, you've really taught me a lot this evening. I'm so impressed, and I hope the same for the televiewers, those on Facebook and those on YouTube, about war, where it's prohibited and when it's allowed. That was really great. Thanks for that, for sharing that with us. And then your vision for DSS as when we arrive where, and your vision of what you are doing now during this self-defense. So thank you very much for that.
Thank
You've mentioned this code of conduct for our ARFs. I know it's still in the making. Some of those things, maybe some of them are still, you don't want to give much now, but can you just outline a bit? Question one is a bit some of the things which are in this code of conduct as we are in this war situation. I'm sure they will mimic some of the things which are somewhere or internationally recognized. And then there is the other thing, always still now during the self-defense part, which is the war part of it. Um, we also know that your department should really, I don't want you to go into details, some military intelligence. We need that intelligence. We need that intelligence in order to fight this war. Are you also considering that? Are you doing something that concerning that military intelligence now? Details you can take them because if it shouldn't go out. So those are my two questions to SOS.
thank you. Um, Thank you, comrade. I think let me start with the code of conduct. The code of conduct has already been existing. However, we need to beef it up because at the time the department drew up the code of conduct, some articles of the Geneva Convention were ignored. And lately, we have been training our restoration forces on full implementation of the Geneva Convention rules. So it is important those aspects are incorporated in their code of conduct. Let it be part and parcel of them. The code of conduct is like your working document, which you are expected to abide by. And some key elements, like you did ask, if I can share some of the things that are in the code of conduct. I want to assure you, in the next few weeks, uh, the chief of staff for the Department of Self-Defense will be putting public. It's not going to be the code of conduct just for the ARFs. It will be a public document. It will be everywhere on social media because it is not a code of conduct for ARFs only. It is a code of conduct for every Amazonian because all of us are fighters. We fight in different spheres. So we need to know the rules. Those rules will not be bounding only on the people on the ground. It will equally be to some of us here in the diaspora. Because a lot of us in the diaspora, we are the ones even violating this Geneva Convention. We are the ones that are even pushing these restoration forces to some of the violations because we speak without reservation. So those documents will be out there and there will be public documents because we expect everybody to abide by the rules. Now, when it comes to some key elements in this code of ethics, an example will be what to do in a situation where you come face to face with your civilians. Are you allowed to open fire on your civilians because there was a disagreement? You should be able to know what your code says. What if you capture an enemy force like La Republique? We have had numerous circumstances where our brief fighters have been able to overpower the soldiers of La Republique and captured some alive. What do you do at that level? What do you do when you overpower your enemy and you kill them? How far can you go? Can you turn their body into some soya and mutilate? What do you do? The code will guide you. The code will equally tell you your responsibilities as a soldier, how you are supposed to behave at any time. What do you do if you run into a situation where either a senior soldier or a junior soldier just violated a civilian, maybe sexual harassment? What do you do? Who do you report to? Those are some of the things that are outlined in most of these codes to give our restoration fighters that opportunity to behave in a professional manner, even though they are defending themselves. Now, when it comes to issues of military intelligence, if we were fighting some just like a scattered or people that do not know what they are fighting for, we would have already been flushed by now. We are still standing tall and winning this war because we have a strategy. And the strategy can never be effective without military intelligence. We are always very alert and we are positive. And every signal we have, we make moves and we take advantage of. You can see the success we are recording on the ground, not by luck. It's because of calculated moves. And those calculated moves cannot be successful without military intelligence, without planning and execution. And these things, they work so well to those ARS that are listening to what? Strategic planning. For those that just want to run around and make noise on social media, success is not part of them because military success has to be calculated. So we have an intelligence department that is functioning at a very high capacity. Everything that is happening, even in the enemy camps, we are always up to date. When we send alerts to our people, be it the civilian population or the ARFs, is because of intelligence. And I'm calling on our population not to ignore those signals. When we say these are days that you don't need to go out, we mean business. When we say these are you don't have to use, we mean business. So the department, the subunit under DSS in charge of intelligence is up and running. And they too, they are working according to the ethics of their profession. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
thank
very
you
much.
very much. That's fun. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, one thing you mentioned there, which really caught my attention, very, very important. Um, we are all fighting for Ambazonia. We in the diaspora here, but those in the home front, at the home front, they are the ones who daily have the bullets whisking around them, killing them, and really being in harm's way. And we out there in diaspora, we are helping out, but there are some bad apples. People who claim some leadership but are not in union with the bulk of Ambazonians who could be misleading some fighters. If you are a fighter, anybody is telling you to somehow do something against your own fellow fighters, desist from that. You don't listen to such a person. Such people are opportunists and they jeopardize your lives. So those ethical codes of conduct will be much needed by us here in the diaspora first, before our people on home front. So yes, and we know what binds us together is not just as all this started 5 years ago that we actually became aware that southern Cameroon's Ambazonia was actually an autonomous country, which was granted independence by a vote in April 1961, that on 1st October 1961 we were to become independent. And shortly before that, there was some sort of pacha, some sort of cheating, saying, well, you have independence by joining either Nigeria or La République du Cameroon, who had their independence on 1st January 1960. And up to date, they hardly celebrate that day. You already see the crookedness, the corruption, the lies that always emanate from them. We had to come 6 years later on to remind them of all that. So we have rules that we follow, just like in the Ambazonia of old, in the southern Cameroons at the time, we being one of the first, actually the first sub-Saharan African country where in the late 1950s, democratic elections were conducted. Ndele lost the premiership, and it was won by John Gufoncha, who succeeded him, and there was a peaceful transition. And there were dignitaries there like late first president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who was there for the handing over ceremony. And we had rules, we had ethical rules that we follow, and the country was peaceful, and you were guilty until proven innocent, and things like that. And the economy was really flourishing, just like today, that we finance 60 to 65% of La République's economy. So we are bound by laws, and those laws are enshrined into our constitution that we all follow. We don't just say, oh, I know this person or that person, I trust him or her. No, we follow the constitution, and everybody is to follow it in every department, including the Department of Self-Defense. So my next question to you, as Frank, if there is a copy of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia when you're keeping in your department, and if and how our brave Ambazonia Restoration Forces are informed about it, so they know their rights and their duties, and keep away from coup plotters and enablers who are very unethical and hardly follow the Constitution. So, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Ndula. Yes, the department, we have a copy of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Uh, we know this is an interim document pending our arrival in Boya, and we are equally aware as a department that is mentioned in this interim constitution. We have our responsibilities to see that we defend homeland until we are back in Boya life and flesh. Yes, it's our obligation as a department to always reference our ARFs to the Constitution. Um, we have the soft copy of this Constitution that we have shared in most of our ARF forums. So those that are able to download have copies. But then, as time evolved, we are hoping that if we can do a pocket version, you know, that can actually be in their pocket, that can be attached to, and at the back of the constitution book will be their code of conduct there. You know, at the front of that constitution book is their pledge of allegiance. You know, these are three documents that a soldier is expected to carry at every time. Even if they die in battle, that is what La Republique takes out of their pocket, because they do not have an identity as we speak. They had all abandoned their Cameroonian identity. So the only identity they have now is their Pledge of Allegiance, their Constitution of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, and their Code of Ethics. This is to say they have lost everything, but they have hope that there is an emerging nation that will come a long way to revive them. And I want to assure our restoration forces here that, mark my word, no ARF who has fought for our liberation of homeland will ever regret it. Not you, not your family. We have been saying it. In the Department of Self-Defense, we already have a unit called Veterans Affairs. And in this unit, we are tracking down everything. The kind of facilities that we are imagining and planning for our restoration forces when we hit the ground, for those that ran the war and were comfortable living across with the neighbor, hoping when Amazonia is free, they will bring their big certificates and come and take all the positions. They are joking. Those that are fighting will be greatly, greatly appreciated and rewarded. I want our ARFs to know, I want their families to know that we at the Department of Self-Defense, we feel the pain that these ARFs are going through. We feel the pain that their families are going through. So we will never compromise that. Do not waver about how your family or you yourself will be catered for when we get to Boya. We have wounded soldiers left and right that are not filled. Be rest assured, the unit in charge of veteran affairs will take care of you. The ethics we are expecting of you is not a one-sided sword. It's double-edged. The same ethics we hold you to uphold, we expect you to hold the government to uphold its own part of the bargain. And we assure you we will take care of that. So the Constitution makes full provision for self-defense. That attitude, whatever we do here, we are backed by the UN Charter too. So don't be afraid. Some people might come to you and say, oh, you don't need to listen to this interim government because they are just lying. They are not lying. If you can just Google United Nations Geneva Convention, Article 51, and find out what it says about self-defense. What you are doing is self-defense. And that is why the international community cannot label us terrorists if we stay in the framework of self-defense. But when people just jump on the social media, that they are social media activists and they want to run a war through social media, those are the people that are pushing this revolution to the edge of a terroristic group. But when we stay on the fine lines of our code of conduct, our code of ethics, how we do things, making sure that we still respect human life, then we are the ones that are winning. And through that, the international community will understand that we are never going to be like South Sudan, that we know what we want and we can take care of ourselves. Once we hit Boya, everything is going to be in place. Believe me, for those that initially thought they could just fight under any group, I want to call you to plead to your conscience to understand we are fighting for a free Ambazonia, not a free me, or a free Dr. Tom, or a free Comrade Peter here. No, we are fighting for a nation. So even if we disagree on our approach, we still need to stay ethical, because our disagreement may just come as a result of saying you feel we should get to Boya through this Manfe road, but then to somebody else, no, we can use another road and get to Boya. But our intention is to get to Boya. And if you keep your ethics and I keep my ethics, we can fight alongside. We do not need to always turn around and be the people that we are providing the violations to the international community. How do we do that? Something happens, we do not know the facts, we grab the images and we are throwing them left and right. Then we are just exposing certain images of our people that were not supposed to be out there. Some people will feel if they are the ones to give the breaking news, then they are the ones that are the genuine leaders of Ambazonia. No, no. Ambazonia is bigger than me and you. Ambazonia is for the people. We are just servants of the people. Therefore, we have to explain every step of the way what is going to help us to get to Boya without hurting ourselves. Our ARFs, you have been doing an excellent job. Keep it. A lot of other fighters are learning from you. And if they can emulate what you are doing, I'll guarantee you we will be in Boya soon as possible, because the international community is watching and paying attention. We might not notice that, but every track of the way, they are following us. And they hear what we say. They hear those commands that we issue. They see where the violations are coming. Every violation that La Republic is doing, they are watching. They may not be able to stop La Republic and say, hey, you cannot do this at this time. No. Do you know it is a violation of the Geneva Convention to deny a wounded combatant medical attention? So when La Republique de Cameroon pushes out Doctors Without Border out of our territory, that is a violation. And that organization only left because they were not having any immunity. There are other organizations on the ground that they cannot turn around and tell them that crap, because those organizations have UN immunity. We know all this, they know all this, they will continue to do the violations, but we cannot dance with them in the same pot. There's a lot of sexual harassment going through our territory right now. Our people are facing a lot of frustration. All these violations are observed, but I want to call on all Ambazonians that one thing we need to do is to report to the right quarters. When you come across violations, ethical violations that are happening in Ambazonia, please ensure that you forward those images confidentially to the Department of Self-Defense. When you throw those images on social media, they become public documents. We cannot use them because the enemy comes out and refutes those allegations before we even file them. But when we have those confidential documents, then we can do it without exposing them on social media. We are not fighting on social media. We are fighting to become an emerging nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, SOS. Yes. Thanks a lot. Yes, our time is coming slowly to an end. It's very important what you said there. We have, because some of those images, videos might be fake. We have our AmbazoniaGenocideLibrary.com, wherein every picture and video has been authenticated and is factual, and that is where we go to inform the international community about all the atrocities being committed by the evil La Republic forces on our people back home. And just to say, to echo what you said again, our brave Ambazonia Restoration Forces, they have every right, and it's their duty also to question their leaders and their co-workers, us in the diaspora, uh, uh, talking about ethical behavior, about handling of material, money, and donations, and all that. So it is their full right to demand full accountability about what is happening here. So, which is our duty now to see to transparency and accountability on the part of the leadership here in the diaspora. So, yeah, so those will be somehow my closing remarks for today. Thank you all for coming, Comrade Dssia. You have something to say?
Okay, yeah, thank you. SOS Frank, you are really an encyclopedia as far as this DSS
Yeah.
and how to behave is concerned. I'm so happy with the code of conduct you've elaborated, how our ARFs are supposed to behave. But I think my closing remark, I'll shift it to yours. Please, the La République du Cameroon, they've just done so much, loads of atrocity. I think your closing remarks, if it can be by just condemning some of the specific ones.
We don't hear you. You're muted.
If you can just condemn them as your own closing remark, some of the bad things that we do, that would be great. And if by chance,
Thank you. All right, let me make sure I'm audible. Thank you, Comrade Peter. Yes, before I actually get into the some specifics of um, ethical violations that are coming from both sides, I always want to be very fair. When you want to talk about ethics, don't just protect your child and blame the other man's child. You got to be fair in condemning what is happening in your own area that is not right. So, but before I do that, I want us to understand sometimes some of us see the Department of Self Defense as an area where we just have a right to do anything without damning the consequence. It is important we should understand that we are fighting for a nation. So we have to fight by the rule. Uh, Somebody might ask, of what use it is the rule? Yes, it is important to follow the rule because if I were to be a referee, and which in this case, the referee we are looking at here is the international community. So if I were that referee and both players are playing rough game, do I really want to sanction one player and leave the other? No. And in the case of David and the Goliath, where one player has the opportunity to take loans from IMF to fight the other, and the other player has the opportunity to draft to fight the other, and both of them are playing rough game, and you allow this rough game to go for a while, it might be very critical to both. So we that are fighting for self-defense, we will try to stay by the rule so that the referee will understand that we are defending ourselves. Therefore, they need to come in and make sure that the enemy is separated from us because one, they are encroaching, and two, they are the same people playing the rough game. Now, why is it necessary to respect international humanitarian law? The first thing is it is important because it gives room to decency. Our people, our refugees, wherever they are protected by the same charters that La République did sign or ratified. You cannot go into a refugee camp and attack them. You cannot go into a hospital and attack anybody, whether it was a combatant or what. So far as they are already wounded and they don't have a rifle on them, they are under custody. You cannot go into a hospital and drag them out of the bed. That is a full violation. And it's important we report such things. Now, you cannot, for any reason, use civilian properties for military purpose. You cannot convert a hospital into a military camp. You cannot. Unless you move all the patients in that hospital and relocate them in another hospital. Because once military is in that building, that becomes a targeted region that can be taken down at any time. You cannot randomly, break into people's property, arrest brothers and sisters and parents of combatants. I'm going to call our ARs combatants because I'm talking about international law here. You cannot arrest my parents because I'm a combatant and lock them up. It's not correct. Those are all humanitarian violations. We have our generals, our FMs, our ARFs, that their parents are all in the dungeons because their son or daughter was a combatant. It's unaccepted. You cannot do that. Talk about sexual harassment. How many women, how many of our people have suffered sexual harassment from the La République regime? All these things are reported. We have where family members are arrested, locked up at a military barrack. When family goes there to go give them food, they are sexually harassed. Those are violations. Those are things that are happening that are through them on social media as if it was a normal thing. No, we need to be reporting all those things. I want to recap here that there are protected persons and there are protected objects. Even our cultural antiquities, those are protected objects. You see La Republic come into a community and burn down the entire community. Unheard of. Those are violations. They should be held responsible for that. Women, children, detainees. In our case, we call them detainees because until our case is reclassified, before we can call them prisoners of war. But every detainee is protected. Every child is protected. Every woman is protected. Every wounded combatant is protected. How many times, Dr. Tom or Comrade Peter, have you seen La République arrest our ARFs? After you have arrested them, you have disarmed them, you turn around and you execute them. Those are crimes against humanity. Once you arrest somebody, you cannot kill them again. You have an obligation to hold them, because at the end, on that mediation table, we will have an agreement on how prisoners will be transferred. We will have an agreement on how our detainees will be moved. Now, when you execute them, that's an end. So I think we have a lot, and down the road, during subsequent editions of the program, when DSS has another turn, we will be talking more on this. But there's a lot that we need to let our population understand. The communities are protected. Please, our civil society should make sure they know what they are doing. Dr. Tom, I need a minute. I know you don't have time. So don't bring me here if you don't have time. Because when I need to talk to the people, I need them to know.
Okay,
Now,
go ahead. I think
a
we have a
question.
few
Today
more
we were
minutes.
not able to take today we were not able to take questions. And I know the question that will be running through a couple of minds is what about these government officials that are roaming in our territory? Do we have a right to harm them? What about the blacklegs, our elites that have sold their conscience for some peanuts and are now using the blood of our people to enrich their pockets? I want to define what international humanitarian law says. And it is that same law that gives us the right to self-defense. Remember, when you have the rights, you have the obligations. So, let it be clear. Any civilian who directly participates in promoting hostility is a target. So, if military were to work with you for the sake of a 5,000 francs they promise you, for you to take them and go show the hideout of our restoration forces, you are considered a target. And if the ARFs can take you down, whether during that action or after that action, by law, they have a right. Don't ask me why did they kill a black leg, because that black leg was a civilian that was directly participating in promoting hostility. Take note. If your action becomes an integral part of a coordinated military operation, you are a target. Listen to it. If your action becomes an integral part of a coordinated military operation, you are a target. So I want to let La Republique know all their government officials that are issuing out instructions that are leading to the burning, looting, killing of Ambazonians are targets. So the governor, take him out. The SDOs, the DOs, take them out. They are military targets. We have a right by law to take them out. So those who think we don't have a right, no, we are covered, because they are an integral part of a military operation. They are the ones sending these military guys left and right to hunt our people, to take our people down. So they constitute what in law is called continuous combat function. The governor's function is continuous the colonial governor of this, what I call him, Lele Afrique, and the other guy, they are functioning as continuous combat elements that are promoting those military operations. The DOs and the SDOs, they are the same. The police, they are the same. So they should know why we are coming for them. And until we are done with them, they will have no peace. Let me leave it there for now.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much, SOS. Very factual and true. And the thing is, we want to see as many, if not all, our ARFs in Boya at that Independence Square, which we'll name Liberty Square, or after one of our heroes when we reach Boya. So we don't want you to unnecessarily put yourself in harm's way. Defend yourself and keep safe. We will do all we can to help you in your duty, in self-defense duty, and to help our suffering prisoners and our refugees dotted here and there on the globe. Right now, a shout out to our compatriots in Cyprus, where in Cyprus here in Europe, the Greek part of Cyprus, where there is a summit, a European IG Cyprus summit. We understand there are many of our of Ambazonians there, and their hearts are burning for the struggle. So shout out to you all for the wonderful program you guys are making and for the fundraising. And to remind everybody that tomorrow there is a draft tomorrow. A fourth county is drafting tomorrow. And you are all invited to join. The DMC, Donga Mantung County, is drafting tomorrow, 20th of August, as from 8 p.m. Amber time. So you are all invited to draft in Donga Mantung County, for Donga Mantung County, and for the rest of the counties also. And support your LGAs and your counties. That is where democracy, power to the people lies. That is where we are in direct contact with our people on home front, diaspora and home front united. That's where the people's interim government has this connection with home front, with the grassroots. So join your LGA, your county, and fund the struggle. Draft, draft, and draft until you drop. So that's our mantra. So we've come to the end of this wonderful show. We thank SOS Frank from the Department of Self-Defense very much for those illuminating facts and the encouraging words to our suffering people back home. So fellow Ambazonians, thank you all for watching, share, spread it through Facebook, through YouTube. Let everybody be able to watch this program. And see you all tomorrow, or practically today, some few hours, in the Donga Mantung County draft.
The Amber World Draft Award 22 is here. People, it's time to win again.
This is the time for us to draft until we drop. That must be our slogan and rallying cry now. And along the way, we should be asking ourselves some critical questions.
Are we still enjoying 3 square meals a day? While our boys on the ground lack the basic gear they need to resist the occupiers?
Are we still living a life of luxury and comfort while our brave restoration forces lack medical supplies at the home front?
Are we still throwing big birthday bashes while our restoration forces lack basic communication equipment to maximize their efforts?
Are we still going on cruises and expensive vacations while our IDFs on the ground go without food and logistics?
Are we still finding excuses not to make the necessary sacrifices and drafting big while our restoration forces lack the game-changing equipment that they so desperately need to bleed the enemy?
On a daily basis, how much are we putting aside for our liberation, knowing that only through the fierce resistance are we going to liberate our beloved country?
Are we providing the federal government and the CIC the means to carry out some of the critical, intelligence and other special operations across the national territory?
As we ponder these questions, we must remember that a goal that is not funded is nothing but a wish. And we must not let Amazonia die as a wish because we failed to fulfill our patriotic duties by making the great sacrifices befitting a great people.
The World Draft once more is coming to your county. Stand up and be counted. No greater victory was ever achieved than by greater sacrifices. We are enough, so let's draft, and draft until we drop. Our existence as a people depends on that.
It is Award 22. Let us draft until we drop.